of Misfits.
Hey everybody, we're back. 12 Days of Misfits.
Today is day 4.
Day 4.
Still looking for my first point.
Brandon's looking for a point. He's getting closer.
Yes.
He's getting closer.
I really just need a list of Christmas
Well,
carols.
originally I offered you to read the carol and then tell me the passage, but you thought that would be too hard, and now I think you're regretting that decision.
I don't regret the decision, more so for the listeners, because I feel like if you gave me...
Oh, they have the list. So...
But I feel like you would have just heard a lot of page flipping constantly and a lot of long pauses.
I'm better at editing than that. Come on.
It's been the 12 months of Misfits
12 months
because
of
I've been
Misfits.
keep searching.
So, for those that have no idea what's going on because you're just now tuning in, it is the 12 Days of Misfits. So, similar to the previous years, except for this year, Brandon is trying to figure out Christmas carols from passages of Scripture. He's 0 for 3. Hopefully today we're going to be able to go 1 for 4. So reach into the stocking. Let's see what we've got. Some of these I know you will get. Some of these are a little bit tougher. You've had one easy one that you just sort of fumbled at the goal line. You've had a couple of hard ones already also. So what do we got now?
Once I've read the lyrics, then it all connects. So for day 4, we have Isaiah chapter 9.
Isaiah 9. And now this is another one that most people are familiar with as a Christmas passage. They just don't necessarily actually realize that's Isaiah 9 when they're reading it.
All right, so we got a full chapter again.
Yes, but again, this one is not that. This one's not even as long as Romans 5 because prophecy is poetry, and so it's broken up into multiple little tiny lines.
All right, here we go. But there will be no gloom for her who was in anguish. In the former time, he brought into contempt the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali. But in the later time, he had made glorious the way of the sea in the land beyond Jordan, Galilee of the nations. The people who walked in darkness have seen a great light. For those who dwelt in a land of deep darkness, and on them has light shone. You have multiplied the nation, you have increased its joy. They rejoice before you as the joy at the harvest, and they are glad when they divide the spoil. For the yoke of his burden and the staff of his shoulder, the rod of his oppressor, and have broken as the day of Midian. And for every boot of the trampling warrior in battle tumult, and every garment rolled in blood will be burned as fuel for the fire. For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and peace there will be no end, on the throne of David and over his kingdom, to establish it and uphold it with justice and with righteousness from this time forward and forever. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will do this. The Lord has sent a word against Jacob, and it will fall on Israel, and all the people will know. Ephraim and the inhabitants of Samaria, who say in pride and in arrogance of heart, the bricks have fallen, but will build with dressed stones. The sycamores have been cut down, but we will put cedars in their place. But the Lord raises the adversaries of Rezin against him and stirs up his enemies. The Syrians on the east and the Philistines on the west devour Israel with open mouth. For all his anger has not turned away, and his hand is stretched out still. The people did not turn to him who struck them, nor inquire of the Lord of hosts. So the Lord cut off from Israel head and tail, palm branch and reed in one day. The elder and honored man in this head, and the prophet who teach lies in the tail, for those who guide this people have been leading them astray, and those who guided by them are swallowed up. Therefore the Lord does not rejoice over their young men, and has no compassion on the fatherless and widows. For everyone is godless and evildoer, and every mouth speaks folly. For all this his anger has not turned away, and his hand is stretched out still. For wickedness burns like a fire, it consumes briars and thorns, it kindles in the thickets of the forest, and they roll upward in a column of smoke. Through the wrath of the Lord of hosts the land is scorched, and the people are like fuel for the fire, no one spares another. They slice meat on the right, but they are still hungry, and they devour on the left, but are not satisfied. Each devours the flesh of his own arm. Manasseh devours Ephraim, and Ephraim devours Manasseh. Together they are against Judah, and for all his anger has not turned away, and his hand is outstretched still.
Isn't that the message you want for Christmas?
Yeah.
His anger has not been turned away, and he will strike you down.
Wickedness burns like a fire.
Now, this actually is a very obvious one, and there are two different names for this, and I'll give you a point for either one. Going through here, there's a very obvious one.
Mm-hmm.
And the name of the psalm that I will take is actually in the passage as well.
Okay, I think this one is standing out to me because I've been like thinking through in the back of my head of where this is going, and I feel like it's in the first half of the verse.
Yeah, the happy part, yes.
Yeah, true. It does take a little bit of a turn of a little bit more joyous, and then gets into the strife there towards the end. Making sure I'm not overly complicating this, so I feel like
this one do not overcomplicate.
For to us a child is born.
Ho, ho, ho.
Woo! All right,
he's on the board. So, do you know what the technical title for this one actually is? You probably do. You just don't. It's one that most people don't realize is actually the same song.
And that's what I'm glad you gave me a little bit of a hint, because I was like, I don't think that's the full lyrics or the full title of the song.
It's not even the full song that gets done at Christmas time. The lyrics of it are literally verses.
Is it the 6B?
It's literally 6B, right?
And I was wondering that too, because Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace.
And it's saying multiple times throughout this song. The song itself is actually Handel's Messiah, which is a huge symphony that was written back in the 1700s. But part of why people don't realize it's the same one is Handel's Messiah is actually an Easter hymn, not a Christmas hymn. But the little section for unto us a child is born is used as a Christmas carol as well. The reason why is because Handel's Messiah is an Easter hymn that goes through the entire story of Jesus in the Gospels, but not in order. For unto us a child is born is actually towards the end of, like, I think it's like a 91 line song. At least the one I was looking at was like 91 lines, and it's all passages of Scripture. The only lyrics you have in Handel's Messiah are straight out of Scripture.
Talk about copyright issues.
No kidding. But it's because of the fact that the Messiah, who is what we're celebrating, does go the entire season, not just this time of year. So you're on the board.
Woohoo! All right.
It was an easier one.
It was.
The title was literally in the verse, but it's also one that, like we said, is one that most people don't realize what it actually is. They just sing it because it's on the radio. They don't realize the fact that they're literally quoting Isaiah 9:6. So, day 4, Brandon's on the board. We're going in good for day 5. We'll see if we can actually build up a streak this year or not. So, tune in tomorrow as we see if Brandon can get point number 2.